Chicago. So long, everybody. Have a good one.
As usual, the story here in Daytona is speed and experience at the front of the field here in the Arca 200. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch. Beside me, 45-year-old Bob Shack qualified his Ford Thunderbird at over 194 miles per hour. But yesterday at 9:15 in the morning, this car slammed the wall in turn 4, and the crew worked all night to put it back together. Remarkably, the car is going to be close to the speeds he qualified. Strategy? Well, watch for Bob Shack, former series champion Tim Steele behind him, and just beside him, the car number 1 of the winner here 2 years ago, Jeff Purvis, to try to hook up and pull away early from a pack they consider to be possibly trouble just behind him. For more, let's go to John Kernan.
Jerry, you talk about speed and experience up front. How about speed and inexperience near the front? Kevin Ray, 17-year-old rookie, starting on the outside of row number 2. First trip here to Daytona, first time running in the draft. In fact, a lot of the guys shied away from this young man when he was out in the draft. Right behind him, Randall Ritter. He's got a lot of experience racing, but not here at Daytona. In fact, he said on Friday he tried to get numerous veterans to draft with him out on the racetrack. They flat turned him down, but yesterday he did get what he considers some very valuable drafting experience, albeit only about 4 or 5 laps. So it looks like these guys are expected to cause some excitement, but maybe not. Speaking of excitement, let's go further back in the pack to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Exactly, John. 2 of the fastest cars in this series had trouble on qualifying day, on pole day, and thus they will not start in the top 20. Andy Hillenberg starts back here in a car owned by Ken Schrader. This car won this race a year ago. They had problems with a burn piston in qualifying. He will come to the front in a hurry. And behind him, in 26th starting spot, back in the field, is Mike Wallace. And Mike certainly is a car to be reckoned with here today. Mike driving the same car he won with at Atlanta. He won this race a year ago. Both those guys know that Shack and the front cars will try to pull away. If they're to have any chance, they will have to try to get to the front in a hurry. Bob?
Thank you very much, Dr. Punch, and hi, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins. This is one of my favorite races of Speed Weeks. Down on the grid, you have drivers that perform best on dirt. You have some that are short track specialists, and then, of course, the super speedway specialists. And you have ages ranging from 17 to 50. It's a race that literally anything can happen. With me, Ned and Benny, of course, is a former champion of this division.
And once again, we're talking about young guys trying to use Arca as a springboard to make a career move.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of drivers do that over the years. The late Davey Allison, Kyle Petty won this race many years ago, his first ever stock car race. And of course, Ernie Irvin ran in this division along the way as well and won at Atlanta. So yes, they've used it, and even yourself, as Bob mentioned, used it as a springboard.
Yeah, that's right. When I went to ask for a ride to run Winston Cup cars or Grand National cars, I said, I'm the Arca champion. But Ned, they're getting younger and younger.
And boy, the cars are getting faster and faster too. Qualifying speed over 194 miles an hour here today. Well, we'll see how those young people or inexperienced people are going to do out there at those speeds.
And we're set for 200 miles of racing. That's 80 laps here at Daytona International Speedway. And our ESPN Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Goodyear, #1 in tires. By Suzuki. Your Suzuki motorcycle and ATV dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. And by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. We'll be back with the starting lineup as we prepare for the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 in just a moment.
I don't want a roof. I don't want a windshield. I don't want a vanity mirror. I don't want a cup holder. I don't want a shortcut. The Suzuki Intruder.
I love my new hot ride. Those flames scare the other guys. 5,000 horsepower helps too. And a fat bankroll. You know, we've been running Autolite spark plugs forever, but I could wring more money out of someone else. Money's good. My crew burns it. So I tell the guys we're going to run a different plug. They say no. I say I'm the boss. They say Autolite keeps this monster lit. So I tell them I was just kidding.
We put these glass walls on the course at Road Atlanta to demonstrate the wet traction and performance of the Goodyear Eagle Aqua Tread. Racing-inspired dual aqua channels sweep water away for outstanding wet traction. Broad shoulders add aggressive grip for precise cornering. Its unique tread compound helps you stick to the road. You get the performance of an Eagle, the wet traction of an Aqua Tread. Eagle Aqua Tread, only from Goodyear.
I bought my car new in 1970. I drove a hockey team a 190-mile round trip 3 times a week.
Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
I took good care of it. And when I reached 300,000, I thought, I've got to be a pretty good car.
No other leading motor oil offers more complete protection to help your car run better, last longer.
At 600,000, I thought, maybe it could be the Haviland.
Haviland Formula 3. Why add just any motor oil? Add more life to your car.
Welcome back to Daytona as the Arca cars move off the grid and onto the racetrack for a couple of warm-up laps prior to racing. In our blockbuster video blimp, providing the overhead shots as we describe to you this facility. It's, of course, a 2.5-mile tri-oval, 1,200 feet on the front stretch and 3,600 feet down the back stretch. Corners are banked at 31 degrees. The tri-oval is 18 degrees, and the straightaway is at 6 degrees.
That 1,200 feet that we see, that's from turn 4 to the tri-oval and from the tri-oval down to turn 1. So actually, it's about 3,600 degrees on the front as well as the back.
There are 43 cars and drivers ready to go. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. On the pole with a speed of 194.305, about 4 miles an hour faster than last year, Bob Schacht, and Jeff Purvis is on the outside of the front row. Row number 2, Michigan's Tim Steele, former champion of this series, and young Kevin Ray from Alabama. The third row, veteran Bill Venturini from Chicago and Randall Ritter from Franklin, Tennessee. Gary Bradbury starts in 7th position. Alongside will be Mark Thompson. In row number 5, Bob Hill has the inside spot and Henry Wallace outside. Veteran driver Joe Ruttman occupies the 11th starting position and Glenn Brewer starts 12th. Back in row number 7, it's Kenny Allen in car number 3 and Bobby Gerhardt in 85. Michael Dokken starts 15th. And the defending series champion Bobby Boucher is 16th on the grid. Mark Stahl is next in car number 32, then Peter Gibbons in 92. Gary Weinbrower and Andy Hillenberger in the 10th row. Row number 11, Doug Reed the 3rd and John Wilkinson. Going to the 12th row, it's Andy Belmont and Frank Kimmel. Row number 13, Harris Devane and Mike Wallace. In the 14th row, John Stratman and Tom Lorenz. Dill Whittemore and Dale Kreider occupy row number 15. In the 16th row, it's Wayne Larson and Bob Brevac. Ron Burchett and Blaze Alexander are in the next row. Then Brad Smith from Michigan and Danny Kelly, a Florida driver. Going to the 19th row, Del McCoward and Mark Gibson. In row number 20, Perry Tripp and Rob Smith. And the alternate starters are Jeff McClure and Rick Shepard, and taking a champion's provisional to get into the lineup in car number 29 is Bob Keselowski. And we also have the services this afternoon on pit road of Winston Cup star Michael Waltrip. Michael, welcome to the telecast.
Thank you much, John. John Kernan spoke earlier about inexperience in the field today. Scattered throughout this 43-car field, you have all types of levels of experience. That's why starting in the front is important. Usually see guys like Mike Wallace right near the front. He doesn't have a hard time battling through all that inexperience to get to the front. I don't envy his position today. He's starting 26, way in the back. It's going to be hard for him to get to the front. He can't charge up through the field with aggression because he's got to have a little bit of poise and watch for the people that don't quite know what they're doing yet. Those guys are good or they wouldn't be up front. John Ray, Randall Riddle and those guys, but they just don't have the experience that'll make Mike Wallace feel comfortable. So I look for him to come to the front, and he'll probably want to do it in a hurry, but hopefully he'll use a little bit of discretion as well.
All right, John, are you ready to call your first lap of competition in 1995?
Thank you very much, Darrell, for that pit report down there. I'm Bob, he's Benny and Ned, and John and Jerry and Michael. We are ready to go as the field heads through turn number 3 and 4. There's a good shot at Darrell. Okay, we are almost ready to go racing as Bob Shack's in-car camera on the pole. You can see him lined up behind the pace car. The light is out. Also an in-car camera with Jeff Purvis. He's on the outside of row number 1. 1995 stock car racing season about to begin on ESPN. We welcome you to sit back and enjoy the afternoon. And we're just about set for the green flag. There it is, and we're racing.
Bob, as you get up to speed, we might mention that Michael Dalton, who was scheduled to start 15th, crashed in practice here yesterday afternoon, had to take a backup car, so he's at the rear of the field.
And Jeff Purvis is having all kinds of trouble trying to get his car up to speed. He started on the outside pole. He's back to 10th already. And now we can see we're inside Purvis's car as Mark Thompson goes by on the inside.
Purvis having all kinds of problems, losing lots of positions as the number 2 car of Kevin Ray goes by.
It sounds like he's on 7 cylinders.
Yeah,
like a spark plug wire came off or something.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right as we hear it through the in-car camera.
Off of corner number 4, and Bob Shack will lead the first lap. Meanwhile, Wallace is moving up through traffic, weaving his way through in number 90. Wallace won this race last year. Four cars hooked up in a lead draft. Action in the back of the pack. There's the number 5 car of Belmont and Wallace, the 90 car on the bottom.
He's about run out of running room there at the moment, Bob. He's trying to figure which is the best way to go. He's taking the inside lane.
And there's Purvis. That's fallen all the way back to about 15th now.
Jerry Punch, what's wrong with Jeff?
Guys, we just talked to Mark Reno, who's the crew chief on this Finch racing car, and apparently Purvis tells him the throttle is not opening up. He doesn't tell the carburetor is opening up. He's only got about half throttle right now. There's nothing they can do about it except possibly hope for an early caution and stay out there and hope not to lose a lap. Bob?
It is going to be tough to do that if we run several laps under green here. This is only an 80-lap race. Last year, half of the laps, 40, were under caution. We'd love to see a caution-free race this afternoon as Wallace once again goes to the inside and tries to pick off another competitor going by the number 5 car of Andy Belmont.
Looks like Peter Gibbons up in front.
And Wallace did that with ease, made the pass, moved right on by. He apparently has a very strong car.
It is Bob Shack leading the race with the number 16 car of Tim Steele running in second spot. Bob Keselowski is in the pits and pulling behind the wall.
He only brought down 2 engines, and he had trouble with both of them. As a matter of fact, this morning, the engine had a noise in it. He did not feel like the engine would last long, and guess what? It didn't. There was back to the lead, Bob Shack. Now back to Purvis.
And more on Jeff Purvis' situation with Michael Waltrip.
Bob, when you run a car around this racetrack with a restrictor plate on it at half throttle, you're really endangering burning pistons inside of the engine. With the restricted airflow that you get into the engine, you need all of the air into it you can get. You need that throttle to be on the floorboard, not halfway, so he might break an engine with this situation as well.
Yep, you're very right. Depending upon how far we go under green here and how long he pushes it.
Boy, that's got to be frustrating for him because he went into the race feeling he had an excellent shot to win it, and then as soon as the green flag drops, he starts back towards the back. Helpless feeling.
And he just continues to lose positions. Up front, we have 4 cars hooked up in a draft. Bob Shack is the leader of the race. Tim Steele running in second spot. The yellow car, number 25, is driven by Bill Venturini. And the 4th car in line here is the number 78 of Gary Bradbury. Back with more in a moment.
Dear men, please don't be fooled by all the heart-shaped boxes of candy out there for Valentine's Day. There's really only one, Russell Stover, with the incredibly rich blend of 3 kinds of chocolate that nobody can do quite like Russell Stover. It's not just the box, It's what's inside your heart that matters. Nobody does chocolate like Russell Stover does chocolate.
Sprint cars, NASCAR, Indy cars, through the years, I've driven them all.
Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
One thing I've learned, no matter what you drive, you've got to take care of it. Haviland is the one.
No other leading motor oil offers more complete protection to help your car run better, last longer, even if you haven't been driving as long as Mario.
There's an old Italian saying, when you're cooking, you've got to use the right oil.
Haviland Formula 3. Why add just any motor oil? Add more life to your car.
The best feuds never die. They just get uglier when colleges collide. ESPN2 presents Great College Rivalries, unadulterated inter-academic aggression dedicated to the most wicked grudge matches in college sports. Check out the Beanpot Hockey Tournament Championships. Tomorrow, Boston University faces off against Boston College at 8 p.m. Great College Rivalries. Forgive, but never forget. Only on ESPN2.
We welcome you back to the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 at Daytona International Speedway. Up front, still the same. 4 cars hooked up together. Positions remain the same as they were before the break, with Bob Shack leading, but now Shack drops to the inside.
He drops to the inside, and Tim Steele goes by to take the lead, and Shack is definitely off the pace as all 3 cars go by.
And losing ground to the 3 cars that did go around him, so something must be wrong with Bob Shack's car.
Man, oh man. When I went in Bob Shack's garage area this morning, he was on a portable phone talking to a crew chief, and I said, where is he? At the motel? He said, it's Chicago.
Well,
Now, that's a long-range mechanicking.
No kidding.
it is.
Well, Shack was awfully unhappy the other day when he ran into some water that somebody dropped in front of him, and he slid up into the 4th turn wall, damaging the right side of that car that Jerry Punch documented for you earlier. He led the first few laps of this race, but now has dropped back to 4th and is losing position. Here is John Kernan with more on Bob Shack.
I just talked to his crew chief, Mike Mack, and Mike tells me no, there's not a problem with the car. The 3 cars that were following Shack just drafted right on by. Bob is just going to sit there in line, 4th in line right now, try to hang on to their draft, get that first pit stop out of the way, and then make his move toward the front. Let's go down pit road to Dr. Jerry Punch.
And John, I spoke with Bob Shack just before he climbed in the car, and Bob told me he might do this. He may lead some laps and then drop back and ride in the draft for a while because his car wasn't that stable up front initially. So I don't want to push my car. My guys have worked all night to get it ready. I may drop back and see if I can just ride in the draft. I'll get about 4 or 5 car lengths back and ride safely and comfortably until it's time to make my move. Bob?
He's a little more than 4 or 5 car lengths behind, but he's not losing ground now like he was earlier.
No, he might still be close enough to get some pretty good effect from the draft. If he gets much farther back, those 3 cars up in front of him will pull away, though.
We're watching 5th, 6th, 7th, and on back.
The yellow car was Joe Rutman. That's the Rulo brothers' car. There we see
Andy Hillenberg in the 52 and Mike Wallace in the 90.
those are the drivers that Jerry Punch talked about, started back in about the 20th spot. Had some poor qualifying runs, but they are going towards the front.
Well, Hillenberg started 20th and now being shown in 10th, maybe 9th after he made the last pass.
Hillenberg is in number 52, the former sprint car driver, now an instructor at Charlotte.
But there is an Andy Hillenberg that's still running sprint cars.
That's correct.
Right?
He's from Oklahoma. And Andy Hillenberg, the driver that we're watching today, is originally from Indiana.
And look at Kevin Ray, the 17-year-old kid, the white and red car on the outside, making a move on the outside, trying to take the position away. Gutsy move, and that's Bob Hill, the car that he passed in 46.
Kevin Ray, car number 2, is a 17-year-old high school student, and they ask him how come he wasn't in school. He says, I'm out of here as soon as the race is over so I can be back in the classroom tomorrow in Anniston, Alabama.
Yeah, I heard he was doing his homework yesterday down in the truck that they hauled the race car on.
But you can see the inexperience of Kevin Ray because he tried to make the pass, was not unable to do it. Now he and Hill are side by side, and oh, Rudman has a problem. Joe Rudman backs off going in the corner, and Bob Hill goes by. Hillenberg is going by. Also the 90 car of Mike Wallace.
Wallace, the winner last year, don't forget.
And driving the 52 car.
Right.
the Winston Cup driver.
Look at the move that Mike has made in the first few laps from a 23rd starting position all the way up to 10th.
Now we see Rutland has fallen behind those three cars, and it's almost like Bob Shack that just felt like that his car was not comfortable up there, and he had back off and ride behind those fellas instead of being pressured.
Tim Steele has dropped off the pace.
Yeah, he was running in the, second position? Oh, he was leading the race, wasn't he? He's taking the lead, and he is definitely off the pace. Looks like headed to the garage area.
He indeed is. The 1993 Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde champion finished second here last year to Mike Wallace. Let's see what happened. He was in the lead at the end of the backstretch.
Goes in turn 3, and Venturini and Bradbury just goes blowing right by.
Doc, what's up?
Well, Tim Steele's Ford Thunderbird, it gets the hood race. Some of the Dale Jarrett crew, the Texaco Havoline crew here looking at the car. Joey Knuckles and some of the others look. Tim radioed and said the car just shut off. It just quit suddenly on the racetrack. So they are looking now at the gauges. They have the hood raised up. And this is a Robert Yates racing engine, so that's one of the reasons some of the Texaco Yates team are down here that Steele is running. And apparently they have no idea right now what the problem may be. They're hoping it's something simple, maybe ignition they can change, but right now it is still has not fired on pit road. Bob?
So he loses laps, and so has Jeff Purvis. His worst nightmare has come to pass. He tried to stay in the lead lap after the car faltered right at the beginning of the race, but he has gone down a lap. And now the leader of the race is the veteran Bill Venturini from Chicago, and Gary Bradbury in number 78 is right behind him. Bradbury, of course, is a full-time Winston Cup driver this year for Jimmy Means.
Says he's going to run about 8 or so of the Arca races, those that are in conjunction with the Winston Cup, and maybe a couple of other events as well.
Not a very good qualifying effort yesterday. He was 53rd of the 57 that qualified, and Bob Shack there in the white and red number 75 continues to hang in there in 3rd position. So it is Bill Venturini who has the lead right now, but Bradbury is looking for that lead as Tim Steele remains on pit road and the crew still works on that car. We'll be right back.
It's that time of year again. Time for the University Heights 6th Annual Jonesboro Auto Show, March 25th and 26th at the ASU Convocation Center. You'll see competition over 40 classes of vehicles, including street rods, Mustangs, Chevys, custom cars, trucks, motorcycles, and much more. Register for free door prizes, including a 25-inch color TV, a car stereo, and men's Navy blazer. Admission is $5 for adults and $2 for children. So don't miss the 6th Annual Jonesboro Auto Show, March 25th and 26th, sponsored by the University Heights Lions Club.
The Eastern Arkansas Area Council Boy Scouts of America will be conducting their annual Scouting for Food drive on February 18th. The Scouts in your community are asking you to prepare a food bag for the Scouts to pick up on Saturday, February 18th, all day. Your cooperation in this very important good turn will feed the hungry in your area. Watch for food bins at your local supermarket, too. The food collected will go to those in need. It's the Boy Scouts Annual Scouting for Food drive, February 18th.
15 laps are completed of the 80 that will make up the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 here at Daytona International Speedway. It is Bill Venturini that continues to lead the pack. Gary Bradbury running in second, and Bob Shack is in 3rd position. Venturini qualified for this race 3 miles an hour faster than he did last year, and it was only good enough for 5th starting position. He's a 2-time champion of the series in 87 and 91.
And Bradbury's having trouble getting off the second corner. Here comes Bob Shack by to try to take that second position away, but Bradbury's able to keep up with Venturini down the front straightaway, but off two, he's having all kinds of problems.
And here's Venturini now,
Bob
Shack falling into 3rd behind Bradbury. We haven't talked about the tire situation. It's an all-Hoosier situation this year. With more on that, here's Michael Waltrip.
Benny, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember Goodyear not being involved in this race. This is the first super speedway race that I'm aware of that Hoosier's been the only tire. Mike Wallace says when he tucks up underneath cars, his car's beginning to push a little bit. Maybe that's some of the handling problems. There's not competition in this series. They brought a good, solid, safe tire, but maybe it's not sticking the way they need it to.
And Hoosier is the official tire of the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde series this year. They will be the only tire they use wherever.
John Kernan has a report on Gary Bradbury as Jeff Purvis comes in for a pit stop. John?
I just spoke to his crew chief, Philip Hamilton, and he says that the car has developed a slight push. That's why you're seeing him having a little problem getting off of turn 2. They will try and fix that problem on their first pit stop. The only problem is they don't know when that should be. They changed motors yesterday, aren't quite sure how many laps they can get with this motor. So Philip Hamilton says they're just going to play it by ear. Let's go down to Purvis's pit with Jerry Punch.
We documented at the top of the show that Jeff Purvis was not coming up to speed because he only had about half throttle, and they would have brought him in earlier to change the carburetor, but they couldn't. The only other carburetor they have here in the James Smith Racing team that would be competitive was on the Winston Cup car they plan to run next Sunday, so they had to go all the way back to the Winston Cup garage area and get the carburetor off the Winston Cup car. That's what you see sitting there waiting to be replaced. They're hoping that possibly this will fix the problem, but remember, Finch has 3 cars here, an Arca car, a Busch Grand National, and a Winston Cup, and sometimes the parts get spread a little bit thin. Bob?
And so the wait continues for Jeff Purvis, the only driver to win 3 super speedway races in back-to-back seasons in Arca competition in '93 and in '94. Looks like Harris Devane has had contact with something in the 33 car.
And there goes Bradbury for the lead, and puts Venturini. Bradbury in the red 78, Bill Venturini in the yellow 25. Venturini, formerly out of Chicago, has moved to the Charlotte, North Carolina area. As a matter of fact, he's a neighbor of mine, lives about a half mile away from me.
Gary Bradbury won the Rookie of the Year honors in the series in 1994, finishing 3rd in points.
Won 3 races along the way.
Yep.
Had a great year.
Now, Bradbury's car will probably be better that he's in front, and he's able to get all the air across his car and glue the front end of the car down as well as the rear end. His car will handle probably better in front than he would behind.
Now, you mentioned earlier, you see results of it right there, Benny. He before was having trouble keeping the car down, and boy, he gained a good bit coming off of turn 2 that time.
The next pack is closing in on the top 3. And that second pack is being led by Bob Hill in car number 46.
That's the 3rd car in line, and here comes Wallace on the inside of
Hillenberg.
Andy Hillenberg will be mad at me because I'm not able to spit his name out. Boom.
4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th right there. Bob Hill, you might call a dirt track specialist. He won at the Illinois State Fairgrounds on the mile dirt track in 1994 for his first victory. And now here comes Joe Ruttman up past Andy Hillenberg, who seemed to drop off the pace there for a moment.
I think Andy might have slipped just a little bit, and Ruttman got a run on him, and Andy might have had to decelerate, lift the accelerator just momentarily. And boy, you do that on a restrictor blade engine, it takes you a while to get going again. That's the way it looked.
Dr. Jerry Punch is with Tim Steele.
And guys, the 93 Arca champion still sits in the car behind the wall. And Tim, we mentioned the car shut off on you just as you took the lead. What happened?
I don't really know. We was going down the back straightaway. Everything seemed to be fine, you know, right where we wanted to be. Had this HSI Ford Thunderbird in the front, and thing revved up to about 8,000. Made a noise, shut off. I thought, well, maybe it kicked out of gear, put it in gear again, and you know, switch the ignition boxes, try starting it up, and wouldn't start. And you know, I'd like to thank all these guys from Robert Yates' deal. They asked me if they could pick the car for me for practice for their Winston Cup effort, and you know, it's just a shame that this happened. We'll be back. We'll get some of these things.
That's Tim Steele as the Robert Yates crew continued to work in the front of the car trying to decipher the engine problem. Bob?
He finished 2nd here last year and described his car after qualifying as one of the best he's ever had here. Unfortunately, he's behind the wall. Here's the 2nd pack now, with Hill leading Wallace.
Yeah, they've broken away from Joe Ruttman, who is running in the 6th position there now. And sort of Hillenberg, they've sort of hooked up together. They might be able to run that front threesome down.
Here's a field summary for you. Look for your favorite driver where he was running last lap as we've completed the first 23 with no cautions. Very clean race so far.
But we're 23 laps into this thing, and the chassis is starting to become very, very important as these tires get worn, get hot, and we find that some fellows have a good setup and some of them don't. Hillenberg having problems dropping back in the 52 car not set up exactly right on the hot and worn tires.
For you, a driver change that we'll inform you about. Michael Docken is out of the 64 car, and David Ridling.
And Mike Wallace is off the pace coming off the second corner. What a tough break. There he is, dropped off the pace. Man, oh man.
He was charging to the front, hoping to become the first driver ever to win back-to-back 200s here at Daytona. And he's coming in.
Yeah, he's headed for the pits.
I hear, oh, his car's hit the wall. Venturini has crashed, running second at the start-finish line. And the caution flag is out.
And Mike Wallace stayed out on the racetrack. He saw that was happening. His crew very alert. They said, hey, there's going to be a caution. Stay out there. And he did.
Venturini has kept the car up against the wall, the outside wall, in the tri-oval just before turn one, keeping it out of the way of the other traffic coming down. But a bad break for Venturini.
Then it sounded like when they went by right in front of our broadcast booth, maybe a tire blew or something. And then all of a sudden he was into the wall.
And as we documented, Mike Wallace, who was ready to come into the pits, had dropped down on the apron, very alertly saw that the caution was coming out and stayed out there on the racetrack to avoid losing a lap. And there is Bill Venturini's car up against the wall near turn number one. So a lot of favorites are having problems here in the early going, guys.
And I tell you, I bet the Venturini's car, it sounded like he hit with pretty good impact.
Sure did.
We can't see the right side of the car, but I would say that it's bent pretty well.
You know, he's the all-time leader of super speedway poles, has 7 career super speedway poles. In fact, he has the record here for Arca cars, doesn't he? Over 200 miles an hour?
That's right, 200.209 back in 1987. Jerry is with Bill's wife.
We're with Kathy Venturini. And Kathy, first of all, you've spoken with Bill now on the radio. Is he okay?
Bill's fine. He's upset that he crashed the car. He had a car here to win today. We were running really consistent and fast, and it's really a shame that this whole tire war has carried on to Arca. We're using inferior tires that are buckling under us.
Is that what Bill said happened? That happened right in front of us here as he was coming down. We heard a boom and saw the car go into the wall. Did he say he cut a tire?
He said the tires, the sidewalk buckled on him. And that, to me, he's got 22 years experience. If he tells me there's a problem with the tires, I believe him. And Hoosier will argue with us on this, but I think this is only the first of many accidents to happen this year to our Arca drivers.
Obviously, a lot of frustration down here with Kathy Venturini and Bill Venturini is okay. Now, let's check in with Michael Walter. Mike?
Simultaneously, at the time Venturini wrecked, Mike Wallace was coming into a pit with a flat right front. Benny, you know, these cars are pushing in the turns. The cars are wanting to slide up the racetrack, putting a lot of force on that right front tire. 25 laps into a race here at Daytona is an awful early time to be a tire giving up to blow out. But when you run 190 mile an hour down in these corners and the cars want to push, it puts a lot of pressure on them, and Mike Wallace has experienced the same thing.
And these fellas, it looks like most cars are pushing in the corners, exactly like you're talking about, Michael. And it's feeding time at the zoo. All the cars coming in the pits. There's Bradbury going up. Right side's being changed. John Kernan.
Benny, it's only going to be right side tires and fuel. They made a chassis adjustment on the left rear. The car picked up a push. They loosened it up just a little bit. There's a bit of a question now with 54 laps remaining in the race, whether or not they could go all the way. Now they're having a problem on the right side, barely a problem with an air gun, and now they're having a problem getting the mud nuts tightened. They finally get it fixed down and away, and Mike Wallace is now in the pits and moving away. He has had his service too.
So that caution came out just at the right time for Wallace, who had the flat tire. And Jerry is there with Ruttman.
Well, they had a couple of problems with Joe Ruttman's car. First of all, the car had not come up to temperature as far as water and oil. They wanted to put some tape on the front grille, but the tape, more important than they were trying to place, was on the window net. The latch on the left side window net keeps unbuckling and flagging in the wind, so Ruttman was having to try to hold the window up or hold the latch together so he could get in and get it taped. They just put a piece of tape around it, and hopefully he now can drive with both hands. Bob?
27 laps completed. We are under caution for the first time because of an accident with Bill Venturini. There is his car being lifted off of the racetrack. He hit the wall just past the start-finish line, and the car has come to rest near turn number 1. Our first caution pit stops have been made. We'll be back to racing soon at Daytona International Speedway.
There's one thing that a racing engine and a street engine have in common. You want them both to last.
Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
To build a race engine that holds up, you have to use the best of everything, and Haviland does that job.
No other leading motor oil offers more complete protection to help your car run better, last longer. Good enough for Robert Yates. Haviland Formula 3. Why add just any motor oil? Add more life to your car.
We built this jump and flooded it to introduce Goodyear's all-new Wrangler AquaTread for light trucks and sport utilities. Two aqua channels sweep water away. You get the sheer rugged toughness of a Goodyear Wrangler and the outstanding wet traction of a Goodyear AquaTread. The all-new 50,000-mile Wrangler AquaTread, only from Goodyear.
Hey, I'm not home. Just leave a message.
Tommy, the hot tub's getting cold. Where are you?
Yo, Tom, we're shooting pool. You coming or what?
Thomas, your birthday dinner's in the oven. Everyone's waiting. Tommy, if you're there, pick up. Tommy?
The pack is reforming for a restart of the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 here at Daytona International Speedway. We're coming off of our first caution for a crash involving Bill Venturini. Here's Jerry Punch.
Guys, following up on what Kathy Venturini said a moment ago about the sidewall with the tire buckling into the car. Now, the teams have been fighting that all week. What they're trying to do here is actually go up on the air pressure on the outside, but most importantly, on the inner liner. If you raise the pressure on the inner liner of the right side tires, it keeps the sidewall from flopping a little bit. Now, I'm here in the Rouleau Brothers pit of Joe Ruttman's car. That's what they've done on the left side, and after watching what happened to Venturini just now, they've increased the air pressure up 2 more pounds in the right side tires. Let's check in with John Kernan on Bob Shack. John?
Jerry Schacht was running second before this round of pit stops. He's dropped all the way back to the 17th spot. That's because he made 2 stops. First time around, took on 4 tires. Second time, major chassis adjustments, trying to loosen the car up.
Here's the green flag. We're back to racing. Mark Stahl is the leader of the race. Andy Belmont running second, then Bob Hill. Bobby Boucher in 4th position. And if you look real closely on Mark Stahl's bumper on the back, you will see just married. Well, he was. What, New Year's Eve, did you say?
New Year's Eve he married, but Sharon, I believe her name is. So congratulations to the 2 of you.
And I believe that's Purvis out there that got a lap back. Is that correct?
It is Jeff Purvis. That's correct.
But he was about 5 down. He made a long green flag pit stop. He'd already gone 1 lap down out on the track. And
yeah, he is.
They did get that carburetor, change that carburetor, and got him going a lot better now.
Yep.
That was Bobby Bowser, the 1994 champion of the Arca division, taking the lead.
He has quickly come to the front and brought with him Gary Bradbury.
26 cars in the lead lap.
So Boucher now the leader, followed by Bradbury. Hillenberg is running in 3rd spot. Battle for 4th between Stahl.
Look at Bradbury. Made it 3 deep going into the turn and took the lead.
And look at Andy Hillenberg come to 2nd. 3 wide. Are they going to make it through 2? And Mike Wallace has come up to 3rd.
Boy, what a break that caution was for him.
And Purvis is losing ground again.
Yeah, he sure is.
Well, Bradbury, Hillenberg, and Wallace now 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
I mean, Mike Wallace, you're right, Ned. He went from a lap down or 2 laps down to running 3rd in the race, basically by just the timing of the caution flag when Venturini crashed. Oh, and there's Purvis up against the wall.
And a car spinning behind him, taking another car with him.
That's Mark Thompson in the red 66.
Who crashed badly here last year. Now everybody else is going to have to scramble and slow down.
And that's Breback, I think, in the 34.
Yes, it is. Also involved is Bobby Gerhardt. Breback crashed earlier.
And Kevin Ray.
Here's in the 19 car sliding through the grass in the tri-oval. That is Rob Smith. So all kinds of problems here off corner 4.
And Kevin Ray, the 17-year-old's car, is sitting right at the head of pit road. And Breback, he crashed in practice, the first practice. They sent another car down. This car came down from Wisconsin Thursday so he could run this race. So that's 2 cars that poor Breback has crashed this week.
They're going to the car of Bobby Gerhardt, who had inside wall contact. Hit it pretty hard, and so they go to see if he's okay.
They're telling the ambulance drivers, the rescue workers, to go over and see to Gerhardt.
Jeff Purvis was the car that originally got in trouble. Let's see it again.
There we see Mark Thompson in the 66 car. It looks like he might have gotten bumped from behind by the red car. I don't know. There's Kevin Ray. Is that Kevin Ray in the 2? No, that's Kevin Ray right
Kevin
there.
Ray,
That he hits Thompson, goes up, smacks the outside wall. Now there's Gerhardt, the 85 car that we're seeing down against the inside wall. Watch as he turns. His car goes, all of a sudden, going to hook up, and that's Breback.
Breback, yeah, top of the screen. He hits the wall.
Now Gerhardt is going for the outside wall. How in the world this thing goes down to the inside is beyond me, but look at this car right here. It's going straight ahead.
Yep.
And all of a sudden it turns and goes straight for the inside, and Breback almost flipped over.
He did.
Watch Gerhardt. He's going through the grass now.
Just a passenger.
And we're going to see him if the camera follows him. No. Yeah. And there he hits the inside wall.
From another angle now, there's Thompson sideways and collecting Ray right there. And then Gerhardt.
There's Breback losing control back there.
Yep.
He apparently just put his brakes on and was just trying to get through there, but he overcorrected there. There wasn't much you could do about it once the car started going back and forth.
There were several cars involved, but a lot of others were very lucky.
Now watch Gerhardt this time. He just goes down and look, you thought the car was almost stopped, but boom.
Hits the wall pretty good.
Yep. Just under the Union 76 ball at the entrance to pit road. And here it is from Jeff Purvis's in-car camera.
I'm wondering if Jeff maybe didn't have a problem. We know he had a problem early, but he had really slowed down, and then others slowing down behind him maybe that helped to cause this to start.
And the wreck is still going on. And Purvis is still continuing straight ahead. Let's see going in the corner. See, he's waving to the folks. Oh, this is Bobby Shack. Bobby Shack, yeah.
It's happening in front of him, and he's just motioning to the other drivers and trying to get enough visibility to drive through without hitting anything.
And fans, there you see he didn't have a lot of visibility momentarily. Yeah. He saw an opening and went through it.
He's down on pit road, Ned.
Right, yeah.
Jerry is with Jeff Purvis.
And Jeff, you pulled what's left of the Chevrolet here back behind the wall. What happened to you up there?
Man, I had my share of problems today, didn't we? We took off and the accelerator was opening not even halfway, and so I went straight to the back, and then I blew out a tire going into 3 down there. So I don't know, it just wasn't my day. I was having a bad day today.
You hit pretty hard up there. You look to be okay, but some other cars, that's the scary part. You hit and you worry about being hit.
Yeah, you've got to keep going. You got to keep rolling and keep them getting hit from behind. And I see them sliding by, and you've got to try to keep your cool right there and not cause a wreck. And that's basically what I try to do. I knew I had a problem. I didn't want to cause anybody else one, but I just had a bad day. Bad day.
Well, maybe it'll improve with Speedway. He still has the Busch Grand National Goodies 300 next week on ESPN, of course, then the Daytona 500 a week from today. Bob?
Ride with Jeff Purvis in his car number 1 and watch and listen as things went bad for him up in turn number 3 and 4 as the rescue continues on Bobby Gerhardt. Listen and watch now.
this is going on, Bob Schachter, pole sitter, is in the pits. And what do you think, Ned? He ran over some debris. John Kerner, what did he run over some debris?
Apparently, Benny, I was down checking some other stories and saw Shaq pull down pit road. After the wreck immediately happened, I saw him go right down pit road. He looked fine. Apparently, picked up some debris, blew the right front tire, and caused all kinds of problems. They're taping up the right front as the pace car is now passing pit road. So Bob Schacht, the pole sitter, the favorite for today's race, sitting here on pit road. His chances at victory pretty much gone by the wayside.
And a very interesting Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 is near the halfway point under our second caution. Several have been eliminated in this most recent crash, and we'll be back with more action after this.
Try our Magic Touch touchless car wash. Look at this dirty truck coming in. Our special chemical will get rid of the bugs. We're then going to wash your windows. We will wash off any excess mud or dirt. Next, we'll scrub your tires and rims. Look here, we're even going to wash the underside of this truck. We're then going to soap it up and rinse it off with our high-pressure nozzles. Look at this truck coming out. Man, it looks like a new dollar, doesn't it? Bring your car or truck in and let us work our magic on it, won't you?
Ladies' Day Wednesday, $2 off.
Hey, Cousin It, welcome to Boot Hill Boot Center, where we've got the best for less. Come on in. Boot Hill Boot Center, we've got boots. We discount everything but the service. I'm telling you, we got eels, elephants, and kangaroos for $89.99. Look here, bang, bang. We've got snakes and lizards for $89.99. Boot Hill Boot Center off of Highway 63 next to Cox Implements, Hoxie, Arkansas. Come on down. Boot Hill Boot Center, where we bury the competition.
As pups, but with one goal in sight, to sprint and jump and soar like a kite, to play with verve and zest, to be even better than the best, so that on that fateful night they can say the ESPY's mine.
All right, but to get the prize they want the most, they better kiss up to me, because I'm the guy giving out the awards.
The ESPY Awards, tomorrow at 9, featuring Dan Marino, Barry Bonds, and Paula Abdul, presented by General Motors and MasterCard.
The ESPY's poetry in motion.
The Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 from Daytona International Speedway in Florida, nearing the halfway point. When they come around next time, we'll complete halfway and go green once again. We had a multi-car crash out of turn number 4 that involved several drivers, including Jeff Purvis, Mark Thompson, Bobby Gerhardt. He's been taken to the infield care center to be checked over. They had to use the jaws of life. However, it appears that he is not seriously injured. Mark Thompson, as we indicated, also was involved in that crash, and he's standing by now near the hospital with Jerry Punch.
Well, Mark Thompson has come out of the infield care center, and Mark, first of all, you look to be okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
What happened up there?
It looked like Purvis maybe cut down a tire, something happened to him, and I was just sort of right behind him. He went up into the wall. I pulled down a little bit to avoid him, and somebody tapped me from behind, started me spinning. Then several other cars, just kind of got into it at that point.
You know, this is not a good habit to start at Daytona, but this is minor compared to a year ago.
I've had a lot of harder crashes down here, that's for sure.
Glad to see you walking away. Any comment on any other drivers thus far? Have you heard anything?
It looked like everybody was okay. I don't know about Gerhardt. I didn't see him in the hospital yet.
Okay, Mark, glad to have you here.
That's Mark Thompson. He is okay. Gerhardt is on the stretcher being loaded into the ambulance, and Jerry now is with another victim of that crash. Jerry?
Actually, Bob, we're with Billy Gerhardt, who is Bobby Gerhardt's older brother and crew chief. And Billy, you've been in the hospital to see what's the status of Bobby?
Well, Bobby's very sore. His neck and shoulder are very sore. They're going to take him in for observation, but he's fine. Just a tough break. Got in some trouble in front of us. Couldn't get away.
Well, that's the good news on Bobby Gerhardt, and thanks for coming out and telling us. That Kevin Ray just came out of the hospital, 17 years of age. Kevin, quickly, your first venture at Daytona was a wild one.
Yeah, it really was. Coming off 4, all I saw was Jeff to the wall and the 66 car bouncing off of him. We bounced into the 66 car.
But he's able to smile and walk away. Good luck to you down the road, young man.
Thank you.
Kevin Ray, Bob.
All right, so everybody is apparently in pretty good shape after that crash. And on the racetrack, we have Gary Bradbury, who is leading, and Mike Wallace right behind him. Here's Michael Waltrip with a report on the tires. Michael?
Well, there's major concern down along pit road with the tires. Most of the teams are not comfortable with the situation, to say the least. The 52 car driven by Andy Hillenberg came in, pitted, they topped off, looked at the tires. They're planning on going the rest of the way. I asked the crew chief if they had a problem with tires, if they thought it was set to set, or if all of them were messed up. He just looked at me and shook his head, and he said, wish me luck. So, major concern. Kathy Venturini voiced her opinion early. There's a lot of people walking around pit road voicing theirs now.
All right, thank you, Michael. Dr. Jerry Punch is with Bob Reback, who was also involved in that crash off of 4.
Thanks, Bob. The 1990 Arca Series champion comes out of the hospital, and Bob, you look to be okay, but 2 race cars in a week, that's got to hurt.
Yeah, it's a tough break. We're like 0 for 2 down here to this week. Just one of those situations. In racing, something happened up front. Somebody cut a tire, jockeying for position, and there was a big pile up of cars, no way through.
Bob, they're commenting that seeing a lot of flexibility in the sidewalls, and they're cutting some tires, they're coming away. Have you seen that?
Well, I got a suspicion there might be a problem there because, that's what it looked like might have happened to us in practice, and there seems to be a little abnormal amount of flat tires out there during the race.
Bob Reback, he's okay, but he destroyed a car back here on Wednesday. The car is absolutely junk, Bob.
The wily veteran from Wisconsin out of the race. Last lap, there was contact between 2 cars off of corner number 4 through the tri-oval.
That's Glenn Brewer in the red and white car back there. Oh, that's Kenny Allen in the red and black car, the on-sat car, Kenny Allen.
And Randall Ritter.
Randall Ritter, old Randall. Said he'd been racing for 18 years, and he was so delighted to be to Daytona for his first time. He said, this must be the way the golfers feel when they go to Augusta for the first time.
Well, he got a couple of donuts on the side of that car as they came down through the tri-oval.
Came out pretty good, though.
We're halfway through, and the lap leader was Gary Bradbury. He picks up $1,000 from Auto Value. Michael Wallace is right behind him, and Joe Ruttman is right there also in 3rd position.
Bradbury led 9 races in 1994. His best super speedway finish was 2nd at Michigan. He did win 3 short track events.
John Kernan has an update on Gary Bradbury's tire situation.
Just talked to his crew chief, Philip Hamilton, asked him if they could go the rest of the way on the fuel that they took on that first pit stop. He said it would be very close. He wasn't that concerned about fuel. He was more concerned about the right front tires. But he didn't want to pit during the last caution and get mired back in the pack. Instead, he decides to sort of roll the dice. He's going to keep the car out there, and maybe if there's a caution in the next few laps, they will make a decision at that point in time to come in and change right side tires.
Here's a good battle. Peter Gibbons is in the 92. The 59 is John Wilkinson, and the 32 is Mark Stahl.
They're battling 7th, 8th, and 9th, Bob.
And John Wilkinson in the 59 was the 1994 most popular driver in the Arca division. The Quality Clutches people sponsored that award, and John Wilkinson, a young man out of Hueytown, Alabama. There's Tom Lorenz in the Interstate Battery look-alike. The green car right behind Wilkinson out of, did I say out of Texas?
The 21 car of Boucher drops to the inside to pick up positions, the defending series champion.
But he made a pit stop during that last caution. Remember, he was running up front.
And there is Andy Belmont right behind him, and then Andy Hillenberg in the 52.
And Andy Belmont is on his 3rd engine. This brief stay in Daytona Beach. So he needs to win this race and the Daytona 500 to get even.
Bobby Boucher, by the way, has 2 series championships and 12 wins, but he has never taken the checkered flag in a super speedway event.
There's Kenny Allen coming down pit road, the red and black car that we saw with Randall Ritter just a moment ago, and it's like Randall Ritter on the outside, isn't it?
I expect Kenny got concerned about the contact they made and maybe felt he had a tire rubbing or something like that.
And Wilkinson is losing positions on the outside.
19 cars still being shown on the lead lap.
There's a right shot of the 46 car driven by Bob Hill.
Sponsored by Friskus and Cat Food.
That's right.
Now Bowser has worked his way up to 7th.
I said that, don't even have any cats.
You're not looking for any free food then?
No, so that's, yeah, right. I'm not looking for something for free.
No free cat food, but believe me, he would never turn down some free food for himself. Let's put it that way. Good battle here. Bowsher, Belmont, and Hillenberg. Andy Belmont, of course, has tried his hand at Winston Cup racing a few times. Meanwhile, up front, good battle continues, and Mike Wallace has gone to the top spot. He's passed Gary Bradbury, and Wallace is up front once again.
Now, this is Barry Owens' car, the same owner that owns Mike Walsh's Busch Grand National cars that's fielding the Arca cars this year for Duron Paint.
Wallace qualified in Winston Cup yesterday in 23rd as 23rd fastest. And here is how Wallace got the lead away from Bradbury at the end of the backstretch.
Wow.
It is Kenny Allen, who had come out of the pits not long ago, and took the lead. Now, that yellow car is Joe Ruttman, car number 39, hanging right in there with them.
Looks like Mike Walsh is trying to break the draft for Bradbury. Barry Owen had a great line the other day, Ned. He was showing me his new trailer. $150-some thousand for a new trailer. And he said, I paid $20,000 for my house. And he's got a trailer to haul his race car for $154,000. Of course, he might have bought his house 20 years ago. But
let's drop on back and pick up some other activity that's going. Oh, look at this group of cars coming down. Now, once again, is Bowsher to the inside, leading Belmont. That's Harris Devane in number 33. They're leading this group.
Peter Gibbons.
The 33 car is not on the lead lap. Michael Waltrip has Bill Venturini. Michael?
Bill, an early end to a great day. You were running so well. What happened?
We blew a right front tire. I mean, it just felt that we had the car to beat today. I just let Gary Bradbury take the lead so we could save on some gas. And I felt the tire shake just as I came through the trial when it blew.
Your wife documented quite a bit of concern for you guys on the racetrack with the tires that she questioned the safety of. What do you feel about that?
I'm not a Hoosier man. I mean, I'm a diehard Goodyear man, and everyone knows it. I had a lot of concern when I came here about the Hoosier deal. I'm not happy with it. I guess if we want to race Arca, that's what we got to run. So I've got to rethink what I want to do, because now it's just fun. I felt I had this race won. Not only did it take the win away from me, it wrecked a good race car. So I'm not very happy about it. I didn't want it, but I had no choice.
His wife busted this story for us wide open when the race first started, and now we're hearing a lot of follow-up about that.
But the good thing is that Bill Venturini is okay following the crash here at the start-finish line. 29 laps remain here at Daytona, and out front is Mike Wallace looking for his third win in Arca competition in just 7 starts. We'll be back in a moment.
My folks are here. These Super 8 motel rooms are roomy.
At these prices, we'll never leave.
Super 8 motels, 1-800-800-8000. So affordable, so comfortable.
The other day I get in my car, won't start. No small problem, right? Well, I figure it's the battery, so I go down to the AutoZone and I tell them what I need. The guy says to me, let's check your old one first. It might not be the problem. Turns out he was right. All I needed was a new battery cable. Talk about saving money. Now you tell me, would another parts store done that? They made sure I got exactly what I needed. Now I'll remember that. Believe me, I will.
I bought my car new in 1970. I drove a hockey team a 190-mile round trip 3 times a week.
Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
I took good care of it. And when I reached 300,000, I thought, I've got to be a pretty good car.
No other leading motor oil offers more complete protection to help your car run better, last longer.
At 600,000, I thought, maybe it could be the Haviland.
Haviland Formula 3. Why add just any motor oil? Add more life to your car.
Hey, Mom, I just got here. No, Super 8 isn't mad I'm late. I've got their VIP card. They'll hold my room and give me a 10% discount. What are you going to do for me?
With a VIP card, guarantee your room and save 10% at all Super 8s nationwide.
There he is, Gretzky.
The great one, man.
Amazing.
He's so good.
Yep.
Against Fedorov, can you imagine Sunday?
That's going to be a heck of a game.
What do you think he's thinking about right now?
Where he left his helmet?
Or his car keys, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Which car, though?
That's a good question.
Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway, the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200. There's our blockbuster video. Our blockbuster...
What is it, Benny? The blockbuster video blimp.
What did I say it was?
Providing the overhead shots of Daytona International Speedway for us. And while we're up here, we'll give you a field summary of how they're running at the moment. We are at lap number 55, and in less than 5 laps, we will have a mandatory caution for the drivers to come in and to check their tire wear. There's 16 through 30. You can see that there are 18 cars currently on the lead lap.
And one of those just went a lap down. Tom Lorenz is in the pits right now. He was one of those 18 on the lead lap.
And here's our leaders. Mike Wallace in the 90s, a Duron paint Ford. That's Gary Bradbury. Is that a Chevrolet? In the 78 car? Yes, it is. Our second place car. That's the old Lumina, not the new Monte Carlo Chevrolet.
And those two have pretty much pulled away from Joe Ruttman, leaving him back in 3rd position, but quite a ways back.
Quite a ways back. As a matter of fact, almost a complete straightaway behind these two.
And here's the AutoZone race recap. Mike Wallace led 8th of the first 55 laps. 7 lead changes, 2 cautions for a total of 13 laps, and the average speed down to 140.3 miles an hour. There you can see the drivers who have led at least a lap. Bradbury 23, Mike Wallace the current leader, about to lead his 10th lap. And Mark Stahl has been up front 3 laps, and Bobby Boucher has been up front for 2 circuits. And those cars that are out of the race include Bob Keselowski in steel, Bill Venturini from a crash, and most of the others that you will see there are from crashes that we have had, but apparently no serious injuries to any drivers.
Now there's a race. Lorenz takes his car behind the wall as you speak, Bob.
There's a race for 4th spot. That was Glenn Brewer that was running 4th in the red, white number 10. Bobby Bowser goes by, takes a spot away, and there's Andy Hillenberg in the Air Orlando Chevrolet. That's 4th, 5th, 6th. And I guess Mark Stahl's in 7th, isn't he? Or is that Peter Gibbons?
Yeah, that is Stahl, and he is 7th.
As we mentioned, Bowser had made a pit stop during the last caution, so he was pretty far back in the field. And once he came up and caught Hillenberg latched on to him, and they've just been coming right on up through there, working well together. But now, Hillenberg can't get by. Wow, Brewer.
Man.
Had to hold my breath there for a second as they went 3 abreast.
That was a close call.
That was the Michael Dokken car on the inside that's being driven by David Ridling. That was close.
Caution flag is out.
This is the mandatory caution for a tire check, but we do have a car in the wall, we understand.
And there's a car going down in turn 1. Wayne Larson's car high on the racetrack. About there, the 93 car. That is Wayne Larson, right?
Yep.
But this is the lap that they had said that they would have a mandatory caution.
But it just so happens that he did have contact with the wall down in turn number 1, so a double reason for the caution.
Yeah, there would have been one anyway if they had not planned it.
Yep. So now everybody has the opportunity to come in and have a tire check, get ready for the final 20 laps of this race.
Now then, the ARC official was telling me the word mandatory. Does that mean that they've all got to come in and they've all got to check their tires?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you can't pick up any positions on the racetrack by not participating in the mandatory caution.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Wayne Larson from Ames, Iowa, and the Trickle Firestone Chevrolet running low on the racetrack, headed toward the pit area after some contact with the wall in the tri-oval up toward turn number 1.
He's from Ames, Iowa?
Yep.
That's a clue on about every other crossword puzzle. It is. Ames, Iowa.
It's our third caution of the afternoon. We will be back here at Daytona International Speedway next Saturday for coverage of the Busch Grand National Goodies 300. Same-day coverage begins at 8:30 Eastern Time next Saturday night. The Goodies 300 opener of the Busch Grand National season for 1995. Well, that's going to be a wide-open series this year, isn't it?
And the Goodies 300 is going to be starring Michael Waltrip and others.
Hey, here they come down pit road, led by Mike Wallace, the leader of the race. And Michael Waltrip is in Mike Wallace's pit.
Mike Wallace slides his car through his pit. He has to back up, make sure he doesn't sustain that one-lap penalty. The crew goes to work on it. Barry Owen in the front of the car putting a little tape on the grill. He wants to make sure to get some more downforce on the front of that car because it does push in the turn. They're taking on all 4 tires on the Duron Paints Ford. Pretty routine stop other than Mike Wallace sliding through the pit. Send it down to Jerry Punch and Joe Ruttman's pit.
Thank you, Mike. They've already changed right side tires on Joe Ruttman's Rouleau Brothers Chevrolet. Left side tires going on. Rusty, Chris, and Gary Rouleau changing the 4 tires off the jack, and they're down and away. Let's check in with John Kernan.
Gary Bradbury, as they guns the engine, as they drop the jack, a 4-tire change, lost several positions here on pit road. But Bradbury, likewise, as Mike Wallace did, took on 4 tires.
Folks, I'm telling you what, business is going to pick up when this green flag goes back up because we've got fast cars, just like at the beginning of the race, scattered throughout the field because Bradbury had a bad pit stop. Mike Wallace was caught in the pits, couldn't get out of the pits.
Yeah, he made a pretty good pit stop, but he couldn't get out. He was boxed in, had to push the car backwards before he could get going, so he lost several positions. So, yes, he's going to be back. And a couple of cars, Bob, just took on 2 tires.
Yeah, Andy Hillenberg and Bob Hill only took on 2 tires during their stops. There's Bradbury as he moves back out onto the racetrack for a form-up of the restart. Speedway officials are out there checking the track for any debris that might have been scattered.
Here's what Benny and I were talking about. They finished the work on Mike Wallace's car. He can't go. There's a car directly in front of him, so they pushed the car backwards. Then he finally gets going, but that's several seconds that it took to let several cars get out in front of him.
Yep, that could be 2-3 positions on the racetrack.
Now here comes a host of cars back in the pits.
Well, I expect most of those are 1 or more laps down, and they couldn't pit that first time around, so it looks like Bobby Bowser is going to be the leader.
17 cars on the lead lap. Those that are at least a lap down now coming in for their service, including Kenny Allen and Bob Schacht.
That white car that you see stopping right now is Bob Schacht, their pole sitter, who blew the right front tire. He's a lap down in 21st position. Ran over some debris in one of the earlier caution breaks, cut the right front tire down, and it blew the fender almost off before he could get back. And look at the damage that Larson's right rear tire did when it blew a moment ago. Just blew the quarter panel or rear fender off the car.
Saw a moment ago also that Kenny Allen, they had the hood up on that car. He's running in 19th position a lap down, trying to make some corrections during this pit stop.
You know what that onset is?
That's Satellite TV magazine.
It's a TV guide for Satellite.
Yeah, exactly. I subscribe to it. Yeah, for years. Oh, yeah.
We're watching Bob Schacht pull back out onto the racetrack. Brunswick Bowling providing our in-car camera riding with Bob Schacht today.
Brunswick 2 Bowling.
Well, that thing doesn't sound like it's running real smooth.
It doesn't.
The engine.
Well, while Schacht and the others get relined for the last 18 or so laps of this race, we'll take another break and be right back at Daytona.
You know, working at AutoZone is more than just looking up parts or ringing up sales. most of all, is listening. Because my customers know more about their cars than I'll ever know. They know every rattle by heart. I mean, that car is their baby. So when they got a problem they're going to fix themselves, I'm going to do my best to help them get whatever they need, no matter what it takes. Because people like that, they don't deserve anything less than the best I can give them.
We put these glass walls on the course at Road Atlanta to demonstrate the Goodyear Eagle Aqua Tread. Dual aqua channels sweep water away for outstanding wet traction. Eagle Aqua Tread, only from Goodyear.
The other guys are worried about grid positions. The other guys are worried about track conditions. We just hope the engraver spells our names right. The GSXR 750W and new lighter 1100W.
In the middle of my workday, I don't do power lunches. I do power lifts. And when you work out this hard, you better use a deodorant that works hard too and never quits. That's why I use Speed Stick. It gives me 110% protection that lasts all day. And fortunately, all night. Because while I may not have time for lunches, I always manage to find some time for dinner.
Speed Stick, like you, it never quits.
By Menon.
We flooded this jump to introduce Goodyear's new Wrangler Aqua Tread for light trucks and sport utilities. 2 aqua channels sweep water away for outstanding wet traction. The 50,000-mile Wrangler Aqua Tread, only from Goodyear.
It's the Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 Arca race from Daytona International Speedway. Now 17 laps to go. We are still under caution and just about to go back to green in one more lap. Leader of the race will be Bobby Boucher, and ESPN Speed World is being brought to you by Allied Signals Fram Filters. You can pay a little now or a lot later. And by Napa, we keep America running. Well, this is going to get good here when the green flag comes out, no doubt about that.
It's going to be real exciting if that pickup stays sitting there. That's one of the safety vehicles down cleaning up some of the debris, but he is moving now, so
yeah, he'll get out of the way.
Hopefully he'll be out of the way.
Boucher, the leader. Hillenberg is in second position. In third would be Mark Stahl. Fourth is Bob Hill, and fifth is Joe Ruttman.
John Wilkerson is sixth, Frank Kimmel seventh, Mike Wallace eighth, Gary Bradbury ninth, and Ron Burchett out of North Carolina is the 10th place car.
And here's our pit summary. Wallace came in the lead, is now 8th. Bradbury lost 7 positions. Joe Ruttman lost 2. Boucher picked up 3, and Glenn Brewer went from 5th to 14th. So Boucher, among those, the only one to really pick up any positions, and he picked up to the point where he's in the lead. Looking for his first super speedway victory, Bobby Boucher, the son of the former Arca champion Jack Boucher from Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, I talked to Jack for quite a while before the race today. Had some of his sponsors with him, the folks at the Quality Farm down in the garage area, entertaining. And Boucher can be very entertaining.
We're hearing that Boucher didn't change tires on his pit stop.
That doesn't surprise me. Okay. Because he's been running the Hoosier tires for 3 or 4 years. He knows as much about these tires as anyone in the division, so good point.
Here's the completion of lap number 64. On lap number 65, the green flag comes out, and hopefully for 15 laps of great racing.
And Mike Wallace was about 3 abreast going down to turn 1, trying to get back to the front. Meanwhile, there's a race for third.
Stahl and Hill, 32 and 46.
Wallace is high. Now he's coming down low. It's the green and black car there going in the middle.
Weaving his way through traffic, coming up in front of Kenny Allen and behind Joe Ruttman.
Uh-oh, now Bradbury's going to try to go between these 2 cars.
Not in the turn, Gary. Don't do it in the turn. Wallace did it on the straightaway.
All right.
Frank Kimmel, I think, in the 02. Yes, it is, behind Bradbury.
That cost him a lot of distance there, Bradbury.
Look at Bowser trying to keep him back.
And meanwhile, Mark Stahl and Bob Hill has caught the front duo.
Car way up high on the racetrack, may have had some contact with the wall.
I don't think so.
He was up there pretty high.
That's Peter Gibbons, our Canadian, who's moving.
Here comes Joe Ruttman now, moving into 4th position. And Mike Wallace comes to 5th, passing Hill. And 6 cars are hooked up in the lead draft, and here they come.
And there's Bradbury. He's broken free. He's now in 7th place. The red car back in 7th spot. Gary Bradbury.
Yeah, he should be able to run that 6 down pretty easily there, I think.
Bowser says, kind of like the quarter mile. If you're going to pass me, you're going to have to do it on the outside. Uh-oh. Oh, Bowser and Hillenberg almost made contact down in 1 and 2, and here comes Mike Wallace on the inside of Joe Ruttman.
Boy, just like a steamroller. Here he comes. He's got that Robert Yates motor humming. He's up beside Joe Ruttman for 4th position as Bob Hill comes along with him in the draft, leaving Ruttman up top.
And a spin down the back straightaway.
And we have a car in the wall.
And caution.
And the caution is out. A couple of cars involved in this incident.
Perry Tripp is the blue and green number 6, and Bowser comes by and keeps the number 1 spot.
We are not sure who the other red car is up against the wall or in the middle of the racetrack in the backstretch. That's Perry Tripp, number 6. It looks like he's trying to get going again, but can't.
He's got a lot of damage.
Yeah, he does.
He's digging the hole deeper, too, as he spins those wheels.
Not getting anywhere. And the car is beginning to move from the middle of the racetrack, and that's the number 59 machine of John Wilkinson. Here's John Kernan.
Bob, this is the right front tire off of Gary Bradbury's car, and as we look here on the side, look at that. Blistered, bubbled away. You can see that a very few laps away from this, that Bradbury's tire would have blown. The sidewall would have come away, and he would have been in the wall. Now, they came in, took on 4 tires, went from 2nd back into about 8th place. That was mild compared to what might have happened to Gary had he stayed out there on the racetrack. Let's go further down pit road to Dr. Jerry Punch.
What you're looking at is a right front tire off Peter Gibbons' car. Now, Peter didn't have a tire problem per se with this car. He just put these tires on. Take a look. There's a puncture here. He said, I see a piece of debris, and he ran over the debris and felt the tire pop and go down. So he cut the tire, but take a look at what happens when you cut a tire at near 200 miles per hour. It just completely separates, and he's lucky the car was able to stay out of the wall. Bob?
And now the track attendants are at the Perry Tripp car, as the other one that was involved in this incident, John Wilkinson, has gotten going again. We are cautioned once again with 68 laps completed at Daytona.
With all the motor oils on the shelf, how do you know which one to choose? Some people even think they're all the same. Then why do you suppose one brand of motor oil is the #1 choice of America's top mechanics for use in their own cars and trucks? Which brand? Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And for extra engine protection, try Valvoline DuraBlend Synthetic Blend Motor Oil.
Hey, you know my crew spends hundreds of hours building those 5,000 horsepower motors. I can explode one in 5 seconds. And when that happens, nobody eats. That's why my guys won't run anything but Fram fillers. You know, Fram gets the nasty stuff out of the oil, so I can go to the other end with my candles lit. And you know, that's in about 5 seconds, nearly 300 miles an hour. You can look at these guys and see they eat pretty near every day.
Every day, we all find a way. A promise made, a promise kept, giving it our best.
America's most complete source of auto parts, a national warranty program, and customer service only Napa can give. No wonder more people trust Napa to keep their vehicles running.
We keep America running. We keep America running.
Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, Jerry Punch, and Michael Waltrip back at Daytona as Perry Tripp climbs out of that automobile. He was one of 2 drivers involved in the incident back there on the backstretch. You'll know that notice that the roof flap has deployed. They also utilize those here on the super speedways, keeping the car on the ground when they turn sideways. Perry Tripp, a former sprint car and a Silver Crown driver, now in the stock cars. Yes, Benny.
Most normal race car drivers got out, went around, looked at the damage on his car.
More concerned with that than anything else. Here is John Wilkinson coming in as we show you a field summary running down the entire field as it is right now. John Wilkinson, by the way, was in 11th position, Ned, and having a good time out there.
He was. He's still in the lead lap and was running great. You can see now we're down to just 14 cars in the lead lap.
That tough break with Giddy. He's lost 2 engines during the week here. I keep saying that about everyone, it seems like, but there was a lot of engines. These restrictor plates, if you don't get these things just right, you stand a chance of burning a piston.
By the way, Wilkinson has over 200 wins in go-kart competition and 13 national championships to his credit. He finished 7th in Arca points last year. He has a heavily damaged right front on that number 59 machine now. Here is the tail end of the incident. You can see that Wilkinson is already up into the outside wall and Perry Tripp is spinning on the inside.
Yeah, no idea what caused the accident to begin.
Had to start back on turn 2, I would say, coming off of that turn at least. And, even though they were nearing turn 3 when they wound up.
And there is John Wilkinson's car. They're going to try to tape it up and get it back into the race and complete as many laps as possible. Back in just a moment.
Make this a Valentine's Day she'll love. The Diamonds Plus Love Sale makes it easy. Tell her you love her with a heart-shaped ring, 1/4 carat of diamonds, just $1.99. Or a heart-shaped pendant with 1/2 carat of diamonds, just $2.99. Free kisses with each $250 Diamonds Plus charge purchase or with new credit approval. Come to the Love Sale. Jewelry you'll love. Prices you'll love. Financing you'll love. The Love Sale at Diamonds Plus.
Diamonds Plus. A step ahead. Diamonds Plus.
Sky's the limit with Ultravision. Ultravision delivers over 200 channels for less than you pay each month for cable. Enter an endless galaxy of entertainment with first-run movies, the Sci-Fi Channel, 5 HBOs, 3 Cinemaxes, Disney, Showtime, and all local TV stations. All for only $49 a month. And Ultravision gives you crystal clear reception and no picture interference or outages. View beyond cable with Ultravision. Homeowners with good credit call 1-800-901-0033.
Seen the masters of the game, and what have you learned? Try to remember. Trevino's secret of the green, Player's path out of the trap, Stockton's answer to the blue, Floyd's way through the chasm and the labyrinth of your mind. Remember, we all want the lesson. That's why we watch. Let ESPN show us the way. The Intellinet Challenge, today at 6 Eastern on ESPN.
There's the blockbuster video blimp being piloted today by Terry Dillard and providing the overhead shots of Daytona. We thank them for their contribution to our telecast today. And later tonight here on ESPN, boy, what an evening I'm going to have watching the hockey game. It's the Kings and the Red Wings at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight with, among others, Wayne Gretzky. National Hockey Night at 8 o'clock tonight here on ESPN. Red Wings are in second position in the Central Division in the West, and the Kings are struggling in the Pacific Division.
Boy, you're just the king of good times, aren't you?
I'm telling you.
Sit around the couch and watch hockey on TV, on ESPN.
Nothing better than that unless it's watching a race. Let's go to Michael Waltrip.
I'm with Timmy Cahoot. He's the crew chief on Kenny Schrader's AC Delco or Air Orlando Chevrolet today. And Andy Hilleberg set in second. You won this race a year ago. You kind of been tossing the dice most all day long. You were set to go to the finish if there wasn't a caution before halfway. That time you threw on 2 tires. What's your strategy the rest of the way?
Everything's landing in Andy's hands right now. He just has to be nice and patient. We got Jimmy Horton up there spotting, keeping him calm down. We use our heads. I think we can pull this thing out 2 years in a row.
Well, do you turn to Schrader for any help in these situations?
Yeah, sometimes we turn to Schrader, but I think he gets more upset than I do.
Working for Kenny Schrader's he probably makes more money than anybody because he's got to put up with Schrader.
Well, there are 10 laps to go. We are still under caution. We'll go back to racing in one more lap.
One more lap to happiness.
What do you think? Can Bobby Boucher keep the lead up front?
It's going to be tough.
It certainly is.
That's the question.
We'll take a break and be back for the finish of the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 from Daytona.
Most of our customers come to AutoZone for low prices and for parts they can replace themselves. But many people come because we speak their language. Things like duration and lift and compression ratios, stuff like that. Because a guy who's going to rebuild an engine, he won't buy parts from just anybody. And since AutoZone stocks complete engines, we know what makes them tick inside and out. Sure, we sell our best parts at our best prices every day. But if we know something that's going to help you do the job right, you get that free.
On the road again, going places that I've never been, seeing things that I may never see again, and I can't wait to get on the road again.
And when you get on the road again, make sure you do it on Generals, because General has the right tires for all the roads you ride.
Sooner or later, you'll own Generals.
With all the motor oils on the shelf, how do you know which one to choose? Some people even think they're all the same. Then why do you suppose one brand of motor oil is the #1 choice of America's top mechanics for use in their own cars and trucks? Which brand? Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And for extra engine protection, try Valvoline DuraBlend Synthetic Blend Motor Oil.
Welcome back to Daytona. We'll give you a field summary here before we go green. The cars are coming out of turn 2 a half a lap away from the resumption of this event, but the full field rundown will show you where everybody is running at this time. Here comes 16 through 30.
Oh, buddy, Bill McCowan up in 19th place. He's a left down.
Yep.
Been around racing a long time.
Here's 31 through 43.
See Mark Gibson there at number 7, 25 laps down. That's a Chrysler product, and he's having all kinds of problems today. Jerry Punch?
We heard him talking about Andy Hillenberg, what a bad week he had in qualifying. Of course, he burned a piston on Thursday, but it got even worse. He came back after burning a piston, having one of the fastest cars here, got a phone call and was told in the garage area that his grandmother had passed away. And Andy's sort of been down the last couple of days, and obviously so. He told me this morning, I want to dedicate this race today to my grandmother. I've never had a big day at Daytona. Today has to be the day. I'm going to do it.
And the Jackson boys, Leo and Richard Jackson. Leo owns the 33 car. Richard owns the 1 car of Rick Mast. Their father, Leo Jackson Sr., passed away yesterday. So, guys, feel sorry for you. There's a burn piston. We keep talking about burn pistons, and that one is burned up.
That's pretty scorched, isn't it? We are back to racing. 71 laps completed. We're on lap number 72, and Bobby Boucher leads them down into turn number 1 again.
Got himself a couple of car lengths lead going into that turn.
Got a good jump, didn't he?
Yeah, but it won't take long, but they'll draft right back up on him.
Hillenberg running second.
In fact, Hillenberg might get enough momentum to go by down the backstretch.
He goes to the outside, trying to take the lead from Boucher, but can't do it.
Well, wow. Boucher's using up that racetrack.
Look at Hillenberg. Now he goes high again. And Mike Wallace is going to come up high to help him.
Hillenberg had the momentum coming off of turn 2 because he's hard enough behind that he picked up a good draft in the momentum, but he went low, Boucher went there, he went high, Boucher went there, so he just blocked him right out, which that's what you're supposed to do if you're in the race again.
Wallace is up to 3rd, Bob Hill is 4th, and it's a Ford versus Chevy battle out there right now for the top spot.
And Wallace is on the inside of Hillenberg.
Don't get too low, Mike. And a good battle back here between Stahl in 32 and Bradbury in 78. Look at this!
Everybody jockeying for position. Don't know who they need to follow. They want to follow a fast car. All of them wants behind Mike Wallace, I think.
I tell you what, Bradbury and Hillenberg doing a pretty good job. But meanwhile, this is letting the 21 car Bowser drive away.
Oh, he loves that. Those cars running side by side back there behind him said, just keep that up, guys.
But he isn't driving away from him by very much. He still has less than a car length lead. Watch the outside line as they go into one.
Now, his Ford buddy, Wallace, has picked up the draft on the 21 car. Well, but here comes the Chevrolet backup on the outside. Hillenburg driving the Chevrolet.
One of the most competitive ARCA races we've seen in quite some time. Any one of these cars could win this thing.
And Hillenburg clears him. He's on the outside, Ned.
Gutsy move. Very gutsy move.
Half a car length ahead of Boucher as they come out of the fourth turn onto the tri-oval. Ooh, they touch maybe. At the line. Boy, too close to call.
2 Fords on the inside, 2 Chevrolets on the outside.
Less than 6 laps to go.
Mike Wallace wants to go up there and
Bowser is 3 deep. Bradbury gets by. Mike Wallace gets by. Evidently, Bowser got in the corner and got the car loose.
Mike Wallace was awfully close to him going into that corner. I was about to say that Mike would just like to push him, you know, to try to push him on out in front there. But
he's dropped all the way back to nearly the end of the line as Andy Hillenburg now has the lead. 5 laps to go. It's Hillenburg, followed by Bradbury, then Wallace and Ruttman. And Hill is side by side with, who is that?
Frank Kimmel.
Kimmel.
Who crashed that 02 car in practice. And Frank Kimmel, wouldn't it be great to see him get a good run, because he started not to come down here, but a fellow supplied him an engine, and he said, okay, if I get a free engine, I'll go.
now Mike Wallace beginning to pick up on those 2 Chevrolets up in front of him.
Now, they had moved ahead by 4 or 5 car lengths, but now Wallace closes in once again as there's the side-by-side battle between Hill and Kimmel for 5th spot. 76 laps complete, 4 to go. Kenny Allen is also involved in this battle behind the first 4.
He's a lap down.
Brewer. Yep.
Now, Brewer is not a lap down. He's being shown in 7th position.
Oh, Andy Belmont over on top of Bowser's car. And Belmont flips through the air off of the second corner.
Now it's a race back to the line, and who's going to win? The race back is going to win the race.
Yeah, this could be the determination of the race, because it's probably going to end under caution. Let's watch and see if Andy Hillenburg can keep the lead as they come down for the caution, and he will. Hillenburg, Bradbury, Wallace, Ruttman, Hill, and Kimmel. And the yellow out with 3 laps remaining, and there is Andy Belmont's badly battered race car, which started a flip and landed on top of Boucher's car and then continued to roll to a stop.
I saw him moving around. I saw Belmont. Looks like the winning net is down. And that piston that we showed just a moment ago, a burned piston, that was from Andy Belmont's car.
And I believe this is the first time that I can remember that a car with the roof flaps has taken off.
Yes. But the car did it so suddenly, there was not time for the flaps to deploy, and...
Hey, he's out of the car. Oh,
yes.
That's great. That's
Are we glad to see that? Boy.
You thought he won the race.
Andy, you survived quite a ride. Wow.
Man.
Here it is again. Upper right, watch it. He and Boucher make contact. The car slides around. I think maybe he got help getting up in the air by Boucher's car.
The front of Bowser's car did lift him up.
Look at that car, teeter-totter on top of Bowser's car, folks. Wow. What a ride.
That was wild.
But Andy Belmont is okay. Watch it from this angle now. Look at the height that this car achieves.
Man.
As you can see, they built a wall and a fence to keep drivers and cars out of Lake Lloyd. One of them went in there last year in the Daytona Dash race. I don't think Andy was close to going in, but that car sure took a ride, and they're picking it up in pieces.
And Bobby Bowser, look there where the car came across the top of his car.
Yeah.
He's in the pits. He's lost a lap, as a matter of fact.
So the two-time champion who was looking for his first super speedway win, and look, that's where Andy Belmont's car landed on Bowser's, but look how well it stood up.
That's kind of like that Thunderbird commercial where it bounced on that.
Well, another ugly-looking accident, but everybody is okay. Back for the finish in a moment.
Every day, we all find a way. A promise made, a promise kept, giving it our best.
America's most complete source of auto parts, a national warranty program, and customer service only Napa can give. No wonder more people trust Napa to keep their vehicles running.
We keep America running. We keep America running.
With all the motor oils on the shelf, how do you know which one to choose? Some people even think they're all the same. Then why do you suppose one brand of motor oil is the #1 choice of America's top mechanics for use in their own cars and trucks? Which brand? Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And for extra engine protection, try Valvoline DuraBlend synthetic blend motor oil.
I want more power. I'd like better mileage. Split fire doesn't look like any other spark plug. It doesn't work like any other spark plug. 5 extra horsepower by merely installing these plugs. A 4.8% gain in mileage. With split fire, you'll get more here, and you'll spend less here. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. You'll get more power and more mileage for your money back. You'll get more here, and you'll spend less here. Guaranteed.
Back at Daytona International Speedway for the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200, which is nearing its conclusion. Just a little more than a lap. The race will be over. It'll finish under caution. There's Bobby Bowser's car and the damage that it sustained as a result of this.
There we see, you're right, a little bit of contact between Belmont in the 5 and Bobby Bowser. And watch as he bounces on top of Bowser's car.
And it just hangs there for a few seconds.
Moment. And then, of course, when it comes off, it starts to roll, and the roof flaps can't do any good at that time.
Right. And now from the other angle. Car rides there on the hood for a couple of seconds and then begins a series of barrel rolls. Wow. But the best thing about that crash was that Andy Belmont got out. He jumped on top of the car and acted like he'd won the race.
Hey, he's hurting the roof. He
Yeah.
did it the roof when he did all that.
The FINA Express Mart Ford is in bad shape, but Andy is in good shape, and that's what is the most important thing. The white flag has gone out. We are on the last lap of this event. And ladies and gentlemen, Andy Hillenburg is going to win the Arca 200.
If he gets back to the start-finish line.
Right, and if he doesn't pull in, as we have seen before, I guess we shouldn't be too...
No, let's don't be too hasty.
Yeah.
And this is the same car that won the race last year, right?
Different driver.
Different driver.
Kenny Schrader owns it. Mike Wallace was in it last year.
Gary Bradbury in the red 78 is going to finish second, and Mike Wallace, the Duron car, is going to be third, it appears.
Yeah. And then Joe Ruttman, if they cross the line the way they're running right now. Bob Hill would be next. Then the 02 of Frank Kimmel. Finishing 7th would be Glenn Brewer. 8th, Mark Stahl. 9th, Randall Ritter. And 10th, unofficially, would be Ron Burchett. I'm sure that Gary Bradbury and Mike Wallace are saying to themselves, if I only had just a couple of green laps, but we'll never know.
And Joe Ruttman and Bob. Yeah. Bob Hill said, I know all 4 of those guys would have wrecked, and I'd have won the race. But in any case, here comes the field. The cautions
And the checkers are showing, and Andy Hillenburg has won the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200, and they're going to fish in exactly the way that we gave them to you just a few seconds ago. Andy Hillenburg wins here in Daytona. Here's John Kernan
with his crew chief, Timmy Cahuth. And Timmy, 2 years in a row, you guys are really making this a habit down here.
Well, I tell you, I just love it. And it's good for the Air Orlando people, everybody involved helping us. One of the main reasons we won this thing is another two-time winner, Jimmy Horton, up there spotting for us today. He helped Andy through everything. Andy did a heck of a job. He drove his heart out, and we're just as happy as we were last year, maybe even happier.
So Jimmy Horton up on top spotting made a big difference today. Did he help Mike last year?
He helped Mike last year, too, and I'll tell you what, that man can drive and he can spot, and I owe him a lot. He made my life easy.
Is he going to be back in the car at Atlanta?
Jimmy Horton will be back in our car in Atlanta. Yes, he will. So we'll do this again there.
All right, congratulations, Timmy. Bob?
It's a first win in Arca competition for Andy Hillenburg, and he plans to run all the Arca races in 1995. What a way to begin the year.
Well, I'm telling you, Andy, I'm proud of you. I see him about every day at lunch.
Yep.
Because we both don't miss many meals.
It's good to see Indiana sprint car boy win in stock cars down here at Daytona. Well, there, let's look at the results. As we told you, Bradbury second, Wallace, Ruttman, and Bob Hill completing the top 5.
Frank Kimmel, Glenn Brewer, Mark Stahl, Randall Ritter. Old Randall was 9th, and Ron Burchett was 10th.
And the 11th through 15th, 14 cars in the lead lap. John Stodderman, Blaze Alexander, Henry Wallace, Kenny Allen, and then Peter Gibbons. 15th, 1 lap down.
And Blaze Alexander is 18 years old, Bob.
Yep. 16 through 20, Del McCowart, Bob Shack, Gary Weinbrower, Dill Whittemore, and Bobby Boucher. Shack, of course, the pole sitter in this race.
Brad Smith, Dale Kreider, Andy Belmont credited with a 23rd spot. Rob Smith, first time here in Daytona, and Rick Shepard from Mount Clemens, Michigan.
Then comes Dan Kelly, Harris Devane, Jeff McClure, John Wilkinson, and Perry Tripp. Some of those cars involved in one of the earlier accidents.
Finishing 31st unofficially was Wayne Larson, then Tom Lorenz, Michael Dokken, Mark Gibson, and Doug Reed in 35th position.
Back in 36th spot, we find Mark Thompson, who's crashed coming off turn 4. Bobby Gearhart, who was taken to the Halifax Hospital, will get checked over. Kevin Ray, Bob Breback, and Jeff Purvis. All those guys involved in that crash off turn 4.
And finally, it's Bill Venturini, Tim Steele, and Bob Keselowski rounding out the 43 cars that started here today. And we'll go to Victory Lane and talk with Andy Hillenburg, the winner here at Daytona, after this.
With all the motor oils on the shelf, how do you know which one to choose? Some people even think they're all the same. Then why do you suppose one brand of motor oil is the #1 choice of America's top mechanics for use in their own cars and trucks? Which brand? Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And for extra engine protection, try Valvoline DuraBlend synthetic blend motor oil.
I love my new hot rod. Those flames scare the other guys. 5,000 horsepower helps too. And a fat bankroll. You know, we've been running Autolite spark plugs forever, but I could wring more money out of someone else. Money's good. My crew burns it. So I tell the guys we're going to run a different plug. They say no. I say I'm the boss. They say Autolite keeps this monster lit. So I tell them I was just kidding.
We welcome you back to Daytona here as Andy Hillenburg. Andy Hillenburg celebrates Timmy Cohut and Andy Hillenburg from Indianapolis, Indiana. And what a hug that is after what they have been through this week. And they climbed down off this Chevrolet. Andy, congratulations on an outstanding effort today.
Thanks, Jerry. All the guys at Schrader Racing, what a job. What a job they did for me. Air Orlando, I'd like to thank them. Chevrolet, I'd really like to take a little bit of time here, dedicate this race to my grandmother. She passed away Thursday, and my mom asked me to win this race for her. My mom's never asked me to do anything except don't wreck. And today she asked me to win, and this is for my mom and grandma.
We talked about that this morning, about how important it was for you to get a good finish for your grandmother. After a tough day on Thursday, we mentioned the qualifying, the fact that you burned the piston, and they literally rebuilt this engine in the back of the truck like almost like a drag car.
Well, Jimmy Michaels and Neil, they work at Performance Technology. They did a super job. Timmy Cahoon, I got all the confidence in the world. He's the best crew chief there is, and he just made this thing work. He told me what I had. I got a little excited there at the beginning of the race, and Jimmy Horton, a spotter, and Timmy, they calmed me down and said, you just got to lead the last one.
Any concern about the tires today as Michelle, his wife, and Ashley, his 2-year-old daughter, step in? Any concern about the tires? We're seeing a lot of tires being cut down.
Not from our side. After we made that first stop, Timmy said the tires were great, so I had no concern. I had a little bit of push at the beginning of the race coming off of 2. Timmy dialed it in perfect.
How appropriate you would win here in a Ken Schrader-owned car. When you came south, it was Ken and Annie Schrader that gave you a place to live.
Yeah, they did. Hopefully this is paying them back.
Once again, congratulations, and it's a very, very special day for the Hillenberg family.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Jerry.
Bob?
Andy Hillenberg with a very, very impressive victory here at Daytona.
And he slept in Schrader's garage. When he first moved to North Carolina, he literally slept in Schrader's garage.
That's quite a story. Unbelievable. All right, well, we got a lot more to report on from Daytona. The race is over. Andy Hillenberg, the winner. We'll be right back.
Picked out Allison's ring yet, Jim?
Not yet, Dad. I'm confused. All these wild advertising claims like bargains and 50% off. Off of what?
Well, that's why your mother and I always go back to people we trust.
Oh, you mean?
Pagan's Jewelry. They're a quality company with a wonderful reputation. Finest jewelers in town, no doubt about it.
Aren't they too expensive for me?
No, their name carries a lot of prestige, but you don't pay extra for it. Jim, you can count on the folks at Pagan's Jewelry.
Wallace & Owens has lots of items for those of you who need to take care of your heart. We have low-fat turkey ham, we have cholesterol-free egg beaters, and a heart full of candy. How'd that get in there, Owens?
Save on this week's Wallace & Owens specials. Boneless chuck roast, $1.19 a pound. Red or white potatoes, 20-pound bag, $1.49. Always Save flour, 5-pound bag, 59 cents. Sunshine Crispy Crackers, 87 cents. Shop these Wallace & Owens locations. There's a smile in every aisle.
Daytona International Speedway, where the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 was won today by Andy Hillenberg. And a great effort, and let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, they are tears of joy down here as Andy Belmont has gotten a big hug from wife Jennifer. And Andy, that was a frightening one. Glad to see that you're okay out there.
Hey, I always wanted to do this, but I wanted to do it from victory lane. Is Chris Berman watching this?
Man goes topsy-turvy and thinks about his Sports Center highlight. That might be your highlight. And you're able to smile, thankfully. What happened?
I don't know. We got a bad pit stop there the last stop, and I got out a little late. We were in that lead group the whole bunch, and me and Hillenberg drafted real good all day. I really thought we had a top 5, top 3 car. And I was just trying to catch that outside group going around the outside of Boucher. And, I really don't know. It's showtime. The last few laps, everybody gets together. You don't know what's happening out there. Cars start moving around a little bit. Everybody's giving it that little extra. And quite honestly, I don't know if the cars got sucked together. I'm not going to blame anybody. It could have been my fault, could have been it. I'm not going to blame anybody. It's just air does weird things to these race cars at the speed we're going. And I just hope that before the body got all tore off of it, everybody saw Old Milwaukee and Delco and Phoenix Press and all that. And, we're going to go put another one together, and we'll be in Atlanta. And, I just can't wait to get back. That's all I can tell you. It's just, that's all I know what to say. Natalie and Allison, Daddy's okay. I'll be home soon. This is what I do for a living, girls. Just hang in there.
You got out, you were upside down, you're on top of Bobby Boucher, and I want to ask you how that felt, but then you got out and got up on the roof of the car as if it weren't damaged enough.
Well, my spotter's up top. The whole time I got to tell you, when you run dirt modifieds for 11 years, getting upside down is not uncommon. It's just we won lots of races, but we got on our lid a bunch too, gone for it. And I just told the safety crew, it's the first time I watched the whole thing, but I just knew that the spotter, we were having radio trouble all day, and I just got out of the car, jumped on the roof so the spotter could see that I was okay. He was okay with communication with the pit, but they were having a problem with communication with me. So I just jumped on the roof of the car and let him know I'm all right, I'm fine, And the safety crew, and the safety crew are the greatest here in NASCAR and Arca. A car never hardly came to a rest, and I'm sitting there, thinking about undoing my net to let them know I'm okay, and they're there. You know, I mean, it's just that quick. And I just wanted my girls watching TV at home to know I'm all right. And, you know, it's just when you do something like that, the sponsor gets a plug. You know what I mean? That's who pays the bills. You got to be thinking all the time. So I'm okay. It's just, like I said, I wanted to tell you we're going to Disneyland for Victory Lane, but it was like a ride at Wet n Wild.
Guarantee you a wild ride he will not soon forget, Bob Dickens.
Boy, what a way to get your sponsors some, some recognition. Now, here it is again, and watch Belmont's car go up on top of Bobby Boucher's for just a couple of seconds, and the roof flap did deploy, but it didn't do any good.
No, it sure didn't. Here he just kind of rests there, doesn't he, Ned?
Yeah, just rest there for a little bit, and then I don't know if Bowser put his brakes on and shot him off of there or what happened. I doubt if that's what happened, but momentum did it, I'm sure.
Here's John Kernan with Boucher.
Bobby, we were just looking at the replays of what happened there along the backstretch. How did you see it unfolding? It had to be pretty scary.
Well, it was unfolding from lap one for me. You know, we had a tough race. We had the Quality Farm Fleet Ford Thunderbird up front trying to win this thing, but just wasn't meant to be. But oh, I feel sorry for Andy over there because when he's coming around me on the outside and the front end just got super light and just pushed right up his left rear. And there's nothing really I could do. And I'm getting ready to go over there and talk to him here in a minute and get that deal straightened out because it was unintentional.
Now, he actually came over, landed on top of your car, and what did you tell him to do when he did that?
Get off. Get off me. But, you know, that's racing, and, you know, you hate to tear up cars like that, but them things happen. We'll be back.
And we look at that stuff on video, and it fascinates us, but it happens so fast that it's a split second, isn't it? Like Benny or Ned said, maybe you put your brakes on to get him off of there?
No, it don't happen that fast, Benny, believe me. I mean, it seems like it's slow motion. He got up on top of the hood, and then it just seemed like he was just riding there, and I kept telling him, get off, get off.
Well, next time, maybe reach out and grab him and throw him off.
Right. Maybe I better start putting this one in there, because she's so good at driving them golf carts, so maybe she'd do a little better than Dad.
Yeah, this is Brittany. She terrorizes the neighborhood on golf carts, doesn't she?
That's right. You can't keep her off of it.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Bob?
Well, we can laugh now, but it certainly wasn't a laughing matter a few minutes ago when that accident occurred. But both Andy and Bobby are just fine, and we'll be right back.
You know, working at AutoZone is more than just looking up parts or ringing up sales. Most of all is listening. Because my customers know more about their cars than I'll ever know. They know every rattle by heart. I mean, that car is their baby. So when they got a problem they're going to fix themselves, I'm going to do my best to help them get whatever they need, no matter what it takes. Because people like that, they don't deserve anything less than the best I can give them.
Mario, I haven't seen a change like this since I was knee-high to a June bug.
And I was as surprised as you are.
Well, I should have seen it coming.
Maybe so, but now I think we ought to accept this change, embrace it, be positive about it, because change can be very exciting.
You're probably right, Mario. I guess I'll get used to Doritos' new bag.
There you go.
This year's big change is Doritos. More flavor, new shape, new bag.
Too bad about the Cowboys, Ann.
They always won when I was governor.
In the middle of my workday, I don't do power lunches. I do power lifts. And when you work out this hard, you better use a deodorant that works hard too and never quits. That's why I use Speed Stick. It gives me 110% protection that lasts all day. And fortunately, all night. Because while I may not have time for lunches, I always manage to find some time for dinner.
Speed Stick, like you, it never quits.
By Menon.
There's the aerial shot of Daytona International Speedway, and once again, thanks to Blockbuster Corporation, based in Orlando, Florida, for their pictures and their blimp coverage today. A lot more activity from Daytona coming up here on ESPN. Live reports on SportsCenter begin Wednesday at 6:30, 3 half-hour specials Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. NASCAR today at midnight Wednesday, Saturday at 11 o'clock. The Goodies 300 Saturday at 8:30, and then finally a Speed Week at 5:30 next Sunday afternoon after the Daytona 500. Now let's look at the results here of today's Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200. And we'll turn our thoughts now toward the Busch Grand National Series for 1995. As I said earlier, this should be a very competitive series this year. David Green is back to defend the championship. A lot of guys have moved on to Winston Cup, but still it should be good.
And I tell you what, Ned, how many Busch Grand National cars do you think they'll have down here next?
trying to qualify for the Goodies 300.
They'll have between 60 and 70, so there's a lot of new faces that we'll see this year in the Busch Series competition. And one thing that's really going to be interesting, so many of them will be running the V8 engines, which is new to Busch Grand National racing for the first time in many years.
The 9.5 to 1 compression V8, which is the engine that will be in the Winston Cup cars in 1996. So a lot of Winston Cup engine builders and owners paying particular attention to the Goodies 300, trying to figure out what they're going to do in 1996.
And again, we will have same-day coverage for you next Saturday afternoon from Daytona International Speedway. Who are some of the drivers that we should look for as far as a championship? David Green, huh?
David Green, yeah.
He'll be back to defend. We'll see how it goes. And we'll be back here at Daytona in a moment.
There's two ahead of you. Oh, that's cool. I could use a break. Got something to keep me occupied. McDonald's double cheeseburger.
2 juicy all-beef patties with melted cheese on a warm, soft bun.
It's only 95 cents, but not for long. Next.
And in the morning, sausage McMuffin with egg is an irresistibly delicious breakfast break.
Only 95 cents at McDonald's, but not for long.
I don't sell houses, I sell dreams.
Why would 9 out of 10 customers recommend Century 21 to their friends?
It's a large, large organization, but it's also as personal as me and you.
Century 21 has the most professional agents.
A house is somebody's life where you're going to bring your children up.
And when you look for the church or the school and all those things, I know they are.
Go home and tell Mom and Dad we're going to get you a nice house.
Century 21, rated #1.
ESPN Speed World coverage of the Arca Bondo Mar-Hyde 200 has been brought to you by Valvoline, the #1 choice of America's top mechanics. By the more than 950 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best in auto parts. And by NASCAR 94 Year in Review. To order, call 800-71-NASCAR. Coming up next, Benny and I will be right back with a live edition of Speed Week from right here in Daytona. We'll wrap up all the activity here this weekend, and we will have back on set the pole sitter for next Sunday's Daytona 500, Dale Jarrett, who captured the pole yesterday in Busch pole qualifying. Dale Earnhardt, of course, will be sitting on the outside of the front row, and Dale Earnhardt won the Busch Clash earlier today. Here's the incident that caused all the concern here in our race this afternoon. That is Andy Belmont on top of Bobby Balsher, and Belmont's car barrel rolling down the backstretch. Both drivers were okay.
Well, that was wild. Thank goodness Andy Belmont was okay.
And the race ended under caution as the crew came out to congratulate Andy Hillenberg, who captured his very first Arca victory here this afternoon. The sprint car driver from Indiana wins his first major stock car race. For Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, Jerry Punch, and Michael Waltrip, this is Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us here at Daytona. For now, so long, everyone.